Good day, everyone. This is the channel Planners in a Pod with the host Tisha, and this is the fourth and final episode that looks at the interplay between spatial planning tools, informality, and urban management. So, the question I would like to reflect and discuss about in this final episode is the issue and processes of urban management occurring in the city of Johannesburg, which will link to resilience and how resilience is used in urban planning and how planners define it and look at what are the positive outcomes, but also look at the negative outcomes. So there is this debate when it comes to resilience and how it is applied in spatial planning, and as a tool Spluma looks at spatial resilience, and that can regard to how areas are managed. In this podcast, we will continue to discuss with Vincent Mamphele as he continues to explain resilience and link that to the issues and processes of urban management occurring in the city of Johannesburg. In terms of resilience, do you think that that the issues and processes of urban management and informality can be achieved through resilience?
Yes, I think they can be. Because remember, I hope this what I'm gonna say is resonates with what your thinking or your meaning of resilience is. Remember, resilience is the ability of any development to be in a way to accommodate other things within its sort of form without necessarily changing drastically from what the objectives of that development are. So that's my understanding of what you mean by resilience. So if that understanding is correct, therefore, the SDF, by its own definition, is a framework, and a framework by its nature, it's not a detailed, square meter by square meter development. No, it's a framework of a possible basket of land uses within a particular precinct of the city. And in that way, therefore, it is very resilient because it says this is the broad framework of the proposed development, of the proposed spatial development. But when you go into details to a level of an R, then you can build into those polygons systems where you would be as inclusive as possible to land uses, including informal sector land uses. So in that sense, yes, it is somewhat resilient. But of course, you also need to be cognizant of the fact that when you come towards the streetscape of, if you like, the more detailed stages of this development, you need therefore to bring in the Spluma principles. There's Spluma guidelines and the land use management schemes of municipalities. And this only come in once more a detailed development at more earth level is going to take place. And it also brings in, obviously, the interrelationships between land uses. So in that way, yes, there is a level of resilience into especially the spatial development framework. But as I said, the IDP is more a planning tool, is more a budgeting tool more than a spatial development tool. Okay, I hope I did my best.
Yeah, no, this information is really good, because the thing is that yes, we do for South Africa. Yes, we apply like for Spluma, we apply the guidelines such as spatial justice, spatial efficiency, and all those other three guidelines. But when it comes to the resilience, has the City of Johannesburg achieved that? And with regards to informality and urban management?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you?
Okay.
Did you not get my question?
No. I thought you were just emphasizing on what we have just discussed.
Yeah, no, we were, but yes, we were doing that, emphasizing what we just discussed. So yeah, the thing is that, has resilience achieved in any way in the City of Johannesburg?
Yes, I would, but remember, it's a moving target. You will do certain things, to try and achieve a greater resilience, but it is not. It's not something that you can say I have already achieved. It's something that you need to continue to achieve. The emphasis of resilience, I'm just reading something here, is that it is to mitigate potential economic and environmental shocks likely to be brought by land development. That is one important principle within of resilience, to try and mitigate potential economic and environmental shocks likely to be brought by land development. So, and this, therefore, we can then extend our discussion by saying, we have seen so much development going on all over the city, but maybe the city has not really, prior to such developments taking place, thought about the economic shocks. For instance, when you close let's just use a wild sort of example. If one day the city may wake up and say, look, we are going to bring down the F&B stadium because we want to put up a Pan-African parliament there, or we want to do something on that land that we think is more valuable than the stadium. If they don't think of what impact that proposed process would be to their surrounding communities, that would be a monumental shock, because it would mean so many people would be denied of livelihood, so many people would be dislocated because they would have to go and find trading spaces elsewhere. So what I am trying to say is we need the resilience has to be coupled with the social impact of development. It cannot just be something that is limited to the spatial form. It needs to be also be thought of from a social impact point of view. And in that regard, I don't think we have done so. There's another element of resilience which is called ability to adapt to changes. I think that one we have touched on, that the spatial development framework does provide that kind of framework, because it is planned more at a wider, a citywide scale than a precinct-wide scale. In that way, therefore, there is the opportunity that when you bring it down to precinct-wide scale, then you can actually, ensure that whatever changes you want to put into this spatial development framework do not affect the overall citywide structure that you had intended. Resilience also talks about ability and flexibility of land development to adapt to and support sustainable livelihood. I think we have already touched that. That the city is trying to absorb as many informal traders as possible, but it's not gonna be at a scale that is going to disturb the mobility of goods and services. You need to incorporate it, but you also need to ensure that there is a greater level of formality within the land uses, in order to support this informal livelihoods.
Yes, because that's very true. Because the way when it comes to everything you said about resilience is correct, and also as a whole, the city of Johannesburg has been struggling to sustain development, to compact with this social development, economic development, and the environment. So it is something the city of Johannesburg needs to sort of try and look at, and they, in a way, that there's a need for resilience, and therefore they need to think about how they can use that in the future when it comes to putting that in the SDFs into and trying to improve the qualities of life in the city of Johannesburg. So yes, thank you for that statement, and it really does give a better understanding of the term.
Yes, thank you. But on the other side, though, we can also look at resilience in a way that looking at what new developments in a particular city bring to other forms of developments. When you develop a shopping center, or let's look at the Four Ways area, more to the north of the Four Ways, the areas around Steyn City, if you know the area. If you see now what kind of spin-off developments have come into that area, you now begin to see, look, maybe our development framework should have been a lot more flexible to allow even better mixed-use developments, especially insofar as informal developments are concerned. So you need to do those ones too, because this can also open up a whole lot of new opportunities for our informal settlement, our informal developments. But you go in that area, especially the Kayasant area and those areas just across the Yorkskate, you can see there's a whole lot of only formal developments. There is no thought there as to where can we accommodate the informal trade in a more semi-permanent basis, so that as much as these new developments are coming off the ground, there is also some kind of support to informality or informal trading spaces. Sometimes informal spaces could also be in the form of, when you develop, cities like, areas like the Oriental Plaza kind of things. You, in a way, do it to allow for a lot more semi-formal business to take place. But in these areas, you hardly find that. In fact, when you try and make an application there to establish something like, a Chinese mall, Chinese Oriental place, you are always met with resistance from the locals, because they think you are bringing something that is not at the level of what they would think a formal business development would look like. And in that way, you are restricting the ability of neighboring communities to get goods and services, because remember, the goods and services being provided in this kind of, if you like, semi-formal developments, business developments. These are the goods and services that most of the informal traders use to make a living. They buy and sell, that kind of things, is because they are reasonably priced, if you like. So that is the only sort of negative thing I can think about resilience insofar as the new developments of the city of Joburg are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This interview has been very, very good. I think how you've explained it, it really puts a lot into perspective, and a lot how you can think out of the box when it comes to spatial planning. So thank you very much, Vincent. It was really good for the interview. So in conclusion, what I have learned and uncovered from this overall podcast is spatial planning tools are challenging to practice in terms of SPLUMA, spatial development frameworks, spatial theory, and that there is this limitation and constraints where planning for resilient cities is debatable, whether it is providing for good management or informality, or it could be another urban city looking at a particular class. Therefore, these are challenges planners have to face. Also, when it comes to resilience, there's an extent to which particular aspects get dealt with, whether we're looking at crime and safety or implementing sustainable infrastructure. All of those aspects come into play. But I just want to say thank you to all my guests in supporting me in this podcast and understanding a further depth of the interplay between spatial planning tools, informality, and urban management, as it was insightful. Thank you all Thank you all to my viewers to make it to the end of my final episode. This is your host Shilvala on Planners in a Pod.